The clock on my dashboard blinked 3 a.m. Its red glow mocking me as I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Rain hammered the windshield, blurring the familiar outline of the two-story colonial where I'd grown up. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, the cut on my lip still oozing blood from the earlier scuffle. Inside that house, my stepfather, Harlan, was probably pacing like a caged bull, his temper still simmering. But I wasn't here to confront him, not yet. I was here for her, my mother, Evelyn, the woman who'd once been my anchor but now seemed adrift in a sea of quiet desperation. As I stepped out into the downpour, my boots splashing through puddles, I banged on the door with the side of my fist. "Mom, open up, it's me. Riley." The porch light flickered on, and through the frosted glass pane, I saw her silhouette hesitate. Our eyes met for a split second, hers wide with something that looked like fear, or maybe regret. Then, without a word, she twisted the deadbolt shut, sealing me out in the cold. That click echoed in my chest like a betrayal deeper than any wound Harlan had ever inflicted. Shivering under the eaves, with no keys, no way in, and the rain soaking through my jacket, a fire ignited in my gut. Harlan had turned my own mother against me, but he didn't know the half of what I'd learned in the Marines. Patience. Precision. The art of dismantling an enemy from the shadows. My name is Riley Hayes, and at 28, I'd stared down threats in dusty Afghan villages that would make most men crumble. But nothing hit like this, being locked out by the one person who should have had my back. Harlan would pay. Not with blood, but with everything he valued, his control, his secrets, his freedom. The apartment I'd rented on the edge of town smelled like stale coffee and regret. A far cry from the barracks I'd called home for the last decade. It was 3:02 a.m. Now, the digital alarm clock casting an eerie blue light across the bare walls. I'd barely unpacked my duffel when I heard the jiggle of the doorknob. Instinct kicked in, years of combat drills making my body move before my mind caught up. I grabbed the baseball bat from under the bed, heart pounding like incoming artillery. The door creaked open, and there he stood, Harlan, my stepfather, all 6'3" of him, reeking of cheap whiskey and entitlement. His construction boots tracked mud across the threshold, and his eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, locked onto mine. "We gotta talk about your ma," he growled, his voice slurring but laced with menace. "You've been stirring up trouble. Fill in her head with bullshit." I backed up a step, bat raised. "Get out, Harlan. This ain't your turf." He lunged, faster than a drunk should be, swatting the bat aside like it was a toy. His fist grazed my jaw, the impact sending stars exploding behind my eyes. I tasted blood, felt the warmth trickle down my chin where his ring, bought with my mom's inheritance, had split the skin. Fight or flight surged through me. I dodged left, using the momentum to shove him into the wall. But he recovered quick, grabbing my collar and slamming me against the doorframe. Pain shot through my shoulder like a live wire, popping it out of socket. Gasping, I twisted free and bolted for the front door, barefoot and desperate. That's when I saw her, my Aunt Lorraine, standing in the hallway outside my apartment, her car keys still in hand. She'd always been the family peacemaker, the one who'd mediated after Dad's death. Relief flooded me. "Aunt Lorraine, call the cops, he's lost it." But she didn't move. Instead, her hand reached for the outer doorknob, pulling it shut behind her as she stepped back. The lock engaged with a finality that stole my breath. "This is family business, Riley," she said through the wood, her voice muffled but firm. "Don't drag outsiders into it. You'll only make it worse." Harlan's laughter boomed behind me, cruel and triumphant. I hammered on the door, waves of agony radiating from my shoulder. Please. Aunt Lorraine, he's gonna kill me. The peephole darkened as she peered through, then stepped away. No help. No mercy. Just silence. The next blur of minutes was pure survival. Harlan's hands clamped around my throat, squeezing until black spots danced in my vision. I kneed him in the groin, buying enough space to scramble for my phone. Fingers trembling, I hit the emergency code I'd set up with my Marine buddy. Jack's breach. Now, Harlan staggered back, cursing. But he'd made his point. Stay away from Evelyn. Or next time I finish it. He stormed out, his truck roaring to life in the parking lot. I collapsed against the wall, shoulder throbbing, face swelling, but unbroken. The Marines had taught me resilience, how to turn pain into fuel. As sirens wailed in the distance, I stared at Aunt Lorraine's door across the hall. The woman who'd braided my hair as a kid, who'd slipped me extra allowance money, had just left me to rot. Harlan had poisoned everything, but he'd awakened something in me. This wasn't ending with a locked door. It was the start of his unraveling. Before Harlan slithered into our lives, life in Cedar Rapids was a postcard of Midwestern normalcy. I was 12, riding my bike through leafy neighborhoods, Dad grilling burgers on Sundays while Mom hummed show tunes in the kitchen. Aunt Lorraine lived a stone's throw away, her house the hub for holiday dinners and backyard barbecues. Then the crash, a semi-truck barreling through an intersection, T-boning Dad's sedan on his way home from the factory. Gone in an instant. The funeral was a haze of wilted flowers and sympathetic casseroles. Mom stopped humming, her laughter dying like the leaves in fall. She wandered the house like a shadow, barely eating, barely speaking. Aunt Lorraine stepped in, cooking meals, paying bills, holding us together while grief gnawed at Mom from within. Harlan showed up 7 months later, hired to fix the leaky roof at Aunt Lorraine's place. He was smooth as silk, bringing Mom wildflowers. Not the fancy kind, but daisies like the ones she'd planted with Dad. He fixed our garage door for free, showed up to my soccer games with a cooler of Gatorade. Evelyn needs a rock, Aunt Lorraine whispered to me one evening, watching Harlan make Mom smile for the first time in months. You both do. The wedding was intimate. Just us and a few neighbors. I was 14, fidgeting in my flower girl dress, forcing a grin because Mom's eyes sparkled again. Harlan moved in, tools and all. But so did his rules. Subtle at first, suggesting Mom quit her nursing shifts because I bring home plenty. Then the shared finances, no secrets in marriage. Passwords on her devices, trust goes both ways. My sleepovers at Aunt Lorraine's? Supervised now. Riley's hitting that rebellious phase, he'd say. And Aunt Lorraine would nod, desperate to keep the peace. By 16, our home was Harlan's fortress. Mom's friends faded away after canceled plans piled up. Her brother, Uncle Ted, got the boot after spotting bruises on her arm and calling Harlan out. He's poisoning you against me, Harlan roared. And Mom, worn thin, agreed to no contact. Isolation crept in like fog, Harlan screening mail, holding car keys, installing cameras for safety. Mom shrank, her marathon running spirit reduced to flinching at loud noises, deferring to Harlan on everything. Her words became his echoes. Your mom's delicate, he'd tell me. Losing your dad shattered her. I'm the glue. Aunt Lorraine enabled it all. Haunted by Mom's post-dad breakdown. When Harlan said Mom was too anxious for outings, Aunt Lorraine agreed. When he labeled her friends toxic, she backed him. She chose fragile stability over the ugly truth. I rebelled in whispers, slipping Mom hotline numbers. hiding her old diary where she'd written about dreams beyond this cage. But Harlan was cunning. Punishing through Mom. My sass meant no TV for her. My late curfew meant revoking her book club. He pitted us against each other until exhaustion won. On my 18th birthday, I marched to the Marine recruiter. "Why enlist?" he asked. "To protect what's mine," I said. Unspoken, to escape and return unbreakable. Boot camp at Paris Island broke me down and rebuilt me stronger. The heat, the drills, the endless push, it scorched away the helplessness Harlan had instilled. 3 weeks in, I met Jax Torres during rifle quals. From Chicago's tough streets, he was wiry and sharp, dropping wisdom like grenades. "You're shooting mad," he said after I missed a target. Mad clouds judgment. Cold precision wins wars. We became inseparable. Battle buddies through hellish hikes and night watches. Jax escaped foster homes. I fled a different trap. "Same fight, different front," he'd say. The change was bone deep, muscles corded. Mine tactical. Voice reclaimed. I specialized in military police. Jax in recon. Deployments to Afghanistan honed us, spotting IEDs. Interrogating suspects. Building alliances. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Mom via burner phones and encrypted emails Jax set up. Her messages were veiled pleas. "Feeling so tired lately, Harlan's handling my meds." Translation: dosed into submission. He's remodeling the basement, everything delivered. Translation: locked in tighter. During a stint in Hellmand, her calms vanished for weeks. When they returned, stilted, "We're thinking Arizona, warmer for my joints." Jax and I mapped Operation Anchor recon on Harlan's finances. Escape routes for Mom. Lawyers specializing in coercive control. But patience was key. Harlan's web was years thick. My unit became my real family, Sergeant Major Vargas. A gruff mentor like the dad I'd lost. "Hayes, you're charging at ghosts," he said after a brutal exercise. Face M with backup. By Staff Sergeant. I'd earned commendations, a criminology degree online, and a network ready to mobilize. Mom's updates worsened, accidents too frequent. House moved to rural outskirts for peace. Aunt Lorraine's emails gushed about Harlan's devotion. The night before rotating stateside, Jax cleaned his gear beside me. "I've got your back, Hayes. Always. This round, I go in as Riley the daughter," I said. "If that flops, Harlan meets the Marine." The diner off Highway 30 was neutral ground, crowded. Exits galore. Mom arrived late. Gaunt. Eyes skittish toward Harlan's idling pickup outside. "You look capable," she whispered, glancing at her watch. "He's timing me, grocery run." I slid the envelope, shelters. Cash. Burner phone. Exit plan. Her fingers trembled. Then pushed it back. "Can't. He controls it all, house. Money. My pills. Doc says anxiety disorder. Harlan doses me 'cause I'm unreliable. That's not anxiety. Mom, it's terror." She shook her head. "Aunt Lorraine agrees. I'm blessed with his care." The bell jingled. We froze. Just a customer. But her flinch screamed volumes. "Hide it," I urged. She left it, climbing into the truck where Harlan's hand gripped her shoulder like a vice. An hour later, at Aunt Lorraine's bungalow, the air thick with denial. "Stop this drama," she snapped. Plating oatmeal cookies like old times. "Evelyn's fragile. Harlan protects her. He's caging her. He saved her after the breakdown panic. Depression. That overdose attempt. Overdose. Too many pills." Harlan found her. Manages meds since. Patterns clicked, classic control. "Aunt Lorraine. This is abuse. Enough. You've been gone. Playing hero. Harlan's here. Family. Dad wasn't selfish, he was killed. Dead's dead. Leave. Unless you apologize. Outside. Neighbors' curtains twitched. Harlan's surveillance net. Back in barracks. Jax turned his recon setup into HQ. Coded messages, he noted. Tired precedes doctor visits. Repairs match withdrawals. Documenting illness while siphoning cash. Jax dug deeper. Harlan's 3 phones. Power of attorney over a deceased widow. Estate vanished. Serial grifter. Mom smuggled an SD card in old photos, recordings from Harlan's truck, plotting incompetence declaration. Life insurance cash out. We encrypted an app on her tablet. Coaching her. Feign compliance. Document bruises. Record threats. She became our insider. Snapping safe contents. Eavesdropping on Doc calls. Harlan's web unraveled. Doc had a shady past, previous victims across states. Then Mom's alert. Papers, moving Arizona. Aunt co-signed. Can't survive relocation. Syntax shifted next, all good. Arizona sunny. Harlan onto her. Sat imagery showed extra vehicles. His call, back off. Riley. Evelyn sick, all press charges. War declared, Jax said. We had 72 hours. Extraction flawless. Glass shattered at 3:02 a.m., Harlan breaching my door. Phone to Jax, invasion. Glock ready. Safety on. Ending this, he snarled. I evaded to hallway. Spotting Aunt Lorraine's unit. Pounded, help. She cracked it, you caused this. Harlan just talks. Lock clicked. Harlan dragged me back. Choking. Slamming. Siren saved me, Jax's 9/11. Hospital, dislocated shoulder. Lacerations. Mom's ER overdose, Jax reported. Harlan's cover. Vargas. We extract her legally. Thompson. State Police. Marriage invalid. Vegas glitch. POA forged. Task force assembled. Financials linked Harlan to 4 victims. Flipped Aunt Lorraine with evidence. Didn't know, she sobbed. Knew enough, Thompson iced. Trap, panicked call. Truck stop meet. Arrest streamed Harlan's rage as cuffs snapped. Truth. Finally, Aunt Lorraine said. Mom's room, clear-eyed. Hand in mine. Knew you'd save me. Prosecutor, 25 life. Trial crushed him, recordings. Testimonies. Previous victims. His outburst sealed it. Bail revoked. Conviction, all counts. Mom reclaimed life. Starting a survivor foundation. Harlan's prison note. Regret this. Framed in my VA counseling office. Aunt Lorraine met later. No forgiveness expected. Listened. But wounds linger. Harlan destroyed. I liberated. Trauma forges warriors.